Let me start with a statement that may sound a little harsh, but I believe it's true. Thinking ain't enough anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, thinking matters, ideas matter, vision matters, planning matters. In fact, we spent the last 3 episodes talking about exactly those things. But eventually, there comes a moment when thinking has done all it can do, and action must take over. Because no matter how brilliant the blueprint may be, nobody can live inside a blueprint. A blueprint isn't a building, it's merely instructions for building. And I think that's where many people get stuck today. They live in a state of permanent preparation, researching, planning, watching, learning, studying, waiting, thinking, always preparing to begin, but never beginning. They convince themselves they need more knowledge, more certainty, more money, more confidence, more time, more permission, and before they know it, years have passed. The vision remains untouched. The idea remains unbuilt, and life quietly moves on. You know, construction taught me something years ago. At some point, somebody has to pick up a shovel. At some point, somebody has to pour the concrete. At some point, somebody has to drive the first nail. The project never starts itself, and life doesn't either. Now, I understand why people hesitate. Action is risky. Thinking is safe. Thinking costs nothing. Action costs effort. Thinking protects us from failure. Action exposes us to it. Thinking allows us to imagine success. Action forces us to confront reality. And action can be uncomfortable because reality gives feedback. Reality reveals flaws. Reality points out mistakes. Reality humbles us. But here's the secret builders understand. Feedback is not failure. Feedback is information. Every carpenter cuts a board wrong at some point. Every welder lays down ugly beads while learning. Every business owner makes mistakes. Every leader gets something wrong. Every creator produces work they later improve. That's not failure. That's learning. And learning only happens in motion. I've noticed something over the years. Most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest people. They aren't always the most talented. They aren't always the most educated. But they are willing to move. They act. They try. They adjust. They improve, while others are still debating whether to begin. And that's why action creates opportunity. Because motion reveals things thinking never can. You discover what works, what doesn't, what needs changing, what needs strengthening, what needs abandoning, and what deserves further investment. None of that becomes visible until movement begins. You know, there's an old saying, you can't steer a parked truck. And that's true in life. Direction becomes clear after movement starts, not before. Many people are waiting for perfect certainty, but certainty rarely comes first. Action comes first, then clarity follows. Think about every meaningful thing you've ever accomplished. Learning a trade, raising a family, starting a business, building a career, improving your health, developing discipline. None of those things happened because you thought about them long enough. They happened because eventually you did something. Maybe imperfectly, maybe awkwardly, maybe with doubts, but you moved, and movement changes everything. Now, let's be honest. The world doesn't need more spectators. The world doesn't need more commentators. The world doesn't need more people explaining why something cannot be done. The world needs builders, problem solvers, creators, innovators, people willing to get their hands dirty, people willing to attempt something meaningful, people willing to risk imperfection in pursuit of progress. Because progress belongs to people who move, not people who merely think about moving. So if you've been carrying an idea, if you've been holding a vision, if you've been waiting for the perfect moment, maybe this is your reminder. The perfect moment is not coming. The perfect plan does not exist. The perfect conditions are a myth. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn as you go. Adjust as needed. Keep moving, because thinking is important, but eventually thinking ain't enough anymore. Builders build, and the time comes when every vision must leave the mind and enter the world. I'm Bubba, and this is nothing new under the sun. All right, boys and girls, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure that you give me the thumbs up down below to encourage me to make more videos of this type. Also, subscribe to the channel where you'll find additional videos of this nature and you'll be notified of new releases. Make sure you share this video with like-minded people and comment on the content of this video. And until we see each other again, as always, have a grateful day, and we'll see you next time.